Phew. We're all getting on.
Good morning.
Good morning. I don't see Mateo yet. This is his first time doing this. So.
Oh, okay. I thought he had done it Easter.
Well, he was with Gray as she was actually doing it. There's Mateo.
Oh, there's Mateo.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Everything okay, Mateo?
Yes, apologies. I couldn't log in.
We're good now.
It looks fine now.
Yeah. Hey, Jennifer, do you want to do a quick sound test?
Sure, sounds good to me. Here's a brand new song I wrote for you guys this week.
Your voice is low on my end. I don't know about other people.
Voice is low. I can fix that. Stand by.
Yeah, it's very soft.
For some reason, I'm having trouble accessing the screen.
Did you go to the full screen?
I did,
Huh.
but it looks.
And there's a slide up for Jennifer right now. The first slide, Mateo, will actually be the picture of the church that says welcome.
Right. I was just going to say that, so thank you.
Yeah.
Although it's a very snazzy picture of me. Thank you. For
It is, actually.
It is. Love it. Your voice is still soft.
My voice is still soft.
Yeah.
Can you come in for a second?
How are you, Angela?
I am well, thank you. Can you hear me well?
You sound good.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Hey, Angela.
Is it better when I get closer up onto the mic, guys?
Yeah, a little better.
Well, because I'm cranked up on my end, so I'm wondering if it's something on the controller's end.
Yeah.
Mateo,
Is there anything you can do to help Jennifer's voice be a little bit more?
Hold on, I'm gonna turn up the gain a little bit too. Check 1, 2. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, well then I'll keep going. Check 1, 2. Is that
Oh,
better?
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's much better.
Much better.
And Mateo, you
said
had
that
the
was a
picture up of the church for a minute, but then it went away.
Okay, let me see.
And it shouldn't be recording until Jennifer actually starts playing her prelude music. And that's when we start recording usually.
Is the piano hot enough? Let's do a quick sound check with me and the voice real quick.
Sure.
When your life appears unclear, love is the answer. When we're swimming.
Thank you, Jennifer Farron, and welcome to Unity of Gainesville on this second Sunday of April. What a glorious day. We're so grateful that you're here to join us with today's service. I'm Jo Sherwood, and I'm going to be serving as your celebration assistant this morning. And we are happy to have the wonderful Angela Harmon as our speaker. Her topic is Law and Order Equal Love. While Reverend Angela was preparing today's talk, she tells us that she reminisced about the original Law and Order police drama premiering on television in September 1990, way back. Who remembers that? She also tells us that she has long admired TV shows such as Perry Mason, LA Law, and Boston Legal. She loves and promotes equality and freedom, believing that all have the right to be happy. It's no surprise that her zodiac sign is Libra, with the iconic scales symbolizing balance. Her path eventually revealed that the metaphysics of law and order. Love requires law and order. Love never fails. We are to just ask, and the universe provides. The universe is law, natural laws, and fundamental truths. Gravity, for example, is a natural law. Globally, gravity is gravity and works according to its use, rightly or wrongly. She went on to tell us that without law, there is no order. A fertile thought sets law into motion. When we think, I can, or we think, I can't, the law agrees and provides. Are you ordering the most of life or the least of life? Choosing right thinking leads to right actions. Fear-based thinking leads to random reactionary actions. The choice is always yours. And she quotes from Psalm 106, verse 3. Blessed are they who maintain justice, who constantly do what is right. Now I want to remind you briefly to check out our website at unityofgainesville.org/calendar to view all of our meetings and events. The printed April newsletter listing all these Zoom meetings and events has been mailed to all the members. Please email us and let us know if you no longer want to receive that printed newsletter, or email us and provide any comments or suggestions that you might have on how to make Unity of Gainesville a better experience for you. The email address, of course, is unityofgville@gmail.com. Now, for those of you who are new visitors, I want to share what I love about Unity of Gainesville. As you may have seen from our opening welcome picture of our church in its spring glory, I am reminded how much I love just walking the grounds, especially in the springtime. So even while our church remains closed to services and other in-person meetings, you are always welcome to come for a visit anytime and enjoy the loving energy by walking the grounds, and especially the labyrinth. So please take advantage of that. You know, just drive by, park in the parking lot, and take a walk and enjoy. Okay, now, Jennifer, will you please gift us with your opening song?
I shall. This is a special song written just for Reverend Angie, and it's called I Am the Love. It's a little bit jazzy and sassy today. I am the law, I am the order. I am the way, the real truth shower. I am the light, I am the grace, I am the love. And so are you. Doo, 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 doo. I am the kind communicator. I am the greatest educator. I am the unspoken wish that does come true. And so are you. I make all things clear. I give life all of its hues. I am the love, and so are you. I am the thought that's manifesting. I am the stock worth all the investing. I am the path that leads to something new, and so are you. I make all things clear. I give life its hues. I am the love. You are the love. I am the love. And so are you. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. So are you. We are the love, the love, the love, the love, the love.
Beautiful. Thank
Good
you.
morning. My name is Darlene Becker. I'm one of the prayer chaplains for Unity of Gainesville. I would like to read to you today from the Daily Word. The theme is imagination. The affirmation, I imagine limitless possibilities. In childhood, my imagination helped me see fascinating shapes and wondrous creatures in cloud formations. Picking up a twig, I might have pretended I held a wand that could give me magical powers. An ordinary packing box could become a vessel to sail on or under the seas, an aircraft to fly higher than mountains, or even a spaceship I could fly to explore the stars. Much more than whimsy, imagination is a potent spiritual tool. I use my imagination with intention to give shape to my dreams and goals. Although my childhood may be a memory, I am grateful that I can still use my imagination to create the life of my dreams as I envision possibilities beyond the reality I know and the world I see. And from Luke 10, verse 24, for I tell you that many prophets and kings desired to see what you see, but did not see it, and hear what you hear, but did not hear it. I would like to, at this time, tell you how to reach out to the Unity of Gainesville prayer chaplains. If you have a need of personal one-on-one prayer, or you'd like to make a prayer request, you can go to unityofgainesville.org. You can download the free You Pray app. And if you desire to do that, you initially can just put in your email address, and it's a one-time only thing, and they will respond to your prayer every time you make a prayer request on the You Pray app. It's a wonderful service. We all use it. While Zoom participants have muted themselves, please join me in praying over the requests which have been placed on our prayer list. At this time, you may add the names of anyone that you'd like to include in prayer. Let's just take a moment to go into the silence to do this now. We know for these names spoken and unspoken that God is the active energy of life, love, health, and peace. As we release this prayer to the energy of the divine, we know and affirm that all is working for the highest and best in all conditions. And we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. And now I would like to invite Reverend Angela to present her message today. Reverend Angela.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Happy springtime. I love seeing our place that we used to gather. Thank you for gathering here on Zoom and virtually on Facebook. We live in a new day. So when I think of law and order, our law and order has changed. We had laws about a year ago that kept us inside. The whole world stopped on us. And the order of the day, if you went out, you had to wear a mask, and a new day started. So I thank you, Joe, for reading the scripture from Psalms 106:3. I'm going to put my glasses on. And blessed are those who maintain justice, who constantly do what is right. Because that's what we had to do in order for us to have some remnants of getting to see each other and love on each other and get to do that in a greater, fuller way sooner rather than later. So I always like to get us on the same page. So I'm going to tell you what the dictionary.com said law is, as we know that I really got the premise from the show Law and Order. But in the dictionary, it says law is the principle and regulation of established in the community by some authority, an application to its people, whether in the form of legislation or custom or policies recognized and enforced by judicial decision. The controlling influence of such rules, the condition of society brought about by their observances. So what's going on causes the law to be what they are when it comes to maintaining law and order. So as that was happening in our year in 2020, and we're here in 2021, gratefully and thankfully, I hope we're prayerfully and gratefully saying that every day. But what occurred during that time was there was a name named George Floyd, where events show that was really kind of no law and no order. So I wondered what order was. And order is an authoritative direction of instructions, a command, a mandate, a command by a judge or a court to give an order, direction, command. So as we look at those words, they don't seem very friendly or loving. But what I do understand is what love is by the dictionary, and then we're going to define that for ourselves as we go through today's time together. Dictionary.com says love is a profoundly tender, passionate affection for another person, a feeling of warm personal attachment or deep affection as a parent or a child or a friend. And one of the things that we do have to know is what is a parent? What is a child? What is a friend? As we know with the picture Law and Order, there was a lot of not order going on. They would start it out with some kind of tragedy going on. So this movie came up while I was preparing our talk, and it's called The Cider House Rules. Does anybody know that story? If you don't, let me give you a little brief synopsis. There's a Homer Wells, an orphan, grows up in a Maine orphanage, and there's a doctor, Wilbur Larch, that taught him medicine, but he clashed with his mentor about abortions, and he decides to leave home and finds his own way and works on a cider farm. There he falls in love with another man's girlfriend, but starts to reevaluate his own principles when the farm worker's daughter becomes pregnant by her own father. So this is a little bit of the rules that was going on right after Rose had her procedure. Rose was the daughter and Mr. Rose was the father, and there were some other hands that were around. So as they are reading the rules, Rose said, "I want to hear them. What are they?" The men groan, but Mr. Rose won't oppose her daughter wanting to hear them. So Homer says, number 1, please don't smoke in bed. And one of the workers, Muddy, says, "We heard that already, Homer." Homer says number 2 is, "Please don't go up on the roof to eat lunch." And another worker says, "That's the best place to eat lunch." Homer says number 3 is, "Please, even if you are very hot, do not go up on the roof to sleep." Another apple picker says, "What do they think? They must think we're crazy." And then another one says, "They think we're some dumb N-words, so we need some dumb rules. That's what they think." And then Homer reads the last rule, number 4, "There should be no going up on the roof at night." Worker Peaches says, "Why don't they just say don't go up on the roof?" Rose says, "That's it?" Homer says, "That's it." Rose says, "Those rules means nothing at all. And I've been wondering all this time what they meant." Peaches says, "Those rules are outrageous." Mr. Rose says, "Who lives here in this cider house?" Peaches. "Who grinds up those apples and press the cider? Who cleans up the mess? Who just plans and plain lives here and smells that vinegar, breathing it in? Somebody who don't live here made those rules. Them rules ain't for us. We're the ones who make the rules. We're making our own rules. Ain't that right, Homer?" So as I read that script to you, I'm hoping that you think about the rules that have been made for us in our law. We have rules that we live by and laws that we live by, but Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind, introduced me to what true law is, because we have man's law that have changed. Now we can kind of go out, scratching my ear a little. We can go out, we don't have to always I wear a mask every time I go out. Someone says they're lessening the mask laws, and now we've got the vaccination out and all these things to live by. This is what Ernest Holmes says law is. Law is mind and action, the creative medium of spirit and a great mental law of the universe. There is no limit to law, but there appears to be a limit to man's understanding of it. The thing that makes us sick is the thing that heals us. Now that's what Ernest says about law. So law is ever available. It is greatly accessible to those, just like natural laws, fundamental truths. That's what law is. So let's see what Ernest says about order. Order is the condition in which everything is so arranged as to play its proper part in an established system. So when I said gravity is gravity in the reading that Joe shared with us this morning, and that was prelude to the talk, we use gravity all over the planet, everywhere, all the time. Now, when it comes to laws, laws may be different state to state, country to country, region to region. So when I looked at Perry Mason years ago, it was something about that show, and I was a little girl, matter of fact. The show started in 1957, and I wasn't even born yet, but it lasted until 1966. And I was about 6 years old, so it was still actively going on. And so Raymond Burr, if you remember Raymond Burr, I really liked his style, would actually play Perry Mason. But something about Perry Mason, he always won his cases. So I thought I thought law was winning, that the person that was doing the right thing would win. So as a little girl, to me, this seed was planted in original thinking, because this was one of the original longest lasting series on TV. So somebody had to come up with this idea, but I think they came up with the idea to plant to us in our minds that original thinking is law and you can win. Now, we've had some stories where we see that law and people doing the right thing not winning or something happening. But I believe as we use these natural laws and fundamental truths, we know that they work in our lives. So fast forward to my life in 1999, I found Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind, coupled with Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. So here we are going into these natural laws in a whole new way that we're living them on a daily basis. Because one of the things that I grew up with when I came to laws, religious laws, is that we went to church on Sundays and then maybe Bible study on Wednesdays. And in the summertime, there was vacation Bible school. So there was some kind of Methodist growing as a United Methodist laws growing up. But when I learned that natural laws and fundamental truths worked all the time, not just on Wednesday night or Sunday morning. So now I've got a subject that paints a picture. We use it all day, every day. It's how we use it. Then the subject of values come up. So that's when laws and orders can kind of change in our natural world, if you will, where values are self-chosen. Beliefs and ideas, growing up one way and believing a greater idea another way is how I see it. So we get to see what we don't really have control over anything except using the laws that are fundamentally out there for us, principle-centered. So let me give you another way to look at that. You know, I like talking about paradigms, and paradigms are the way we individually perceive the world, our understanding, our interpretation, whether we grew up in the North or the South, or whether were black or white, or old or young, all of those have perceptions of how life is. But when we're working with the law, and I'm going to read from page 24, Working with the Law by Raymond Hollowell. All failures in life are due to taking sides with a finite around us. All success in life is due to taking sides with the law within us. Thus, working with the law, we may consider, thus working with the law may be considered the same as taking the law into our minds and live as a silent partner. We are then conscious of the source of the creator of all power and realize and receive many benefits surrounding us, really within us. When circumstances arise and we are not to come under or submit to servitude, but we are to overcome and master that creative law of thinking, and the wisdom and the power grows in us. So when we think about the laws of natural laws, it is our thinking that makes it so. The last time I came to you, our topic was Think Win-Win, and I used the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz, that we're always scratching and thinking and ideas are hatching. So the law is our thinking. We can think and work with the law, or we can think and work against the law. We celebrated quite a few women last month with Women's History Month, where it was 1 day, 1 week, now a whole month, but we celebrate life, women and men all day, every day. And some of the laws were set by women. Ruth Bader Gainsbourg, I will mention her again, because she served as a lawmaker for us. And we just recently lost her during the year of the pandemic. It was her thinking that made it so that women can actually have the freedom that we have, and standing on the shoulders of those women that helped us to be able to vote, but we could own our own property and have bank accounts, and something as simple as that was not a part of our law until someone made it so. Laws are what we think. We can change laws by changing our minds and changing our way of being first, putting the oxygen mask on ourselves first. It takes a certain type for us to really know who we are, so we can be in the law and the order to have love in our lives, because we know that love is fundamental. Love is tenderness. And how often are we not tender with ourselves, that we're not forgiving of ourselves, that we lack patience with ourselves, we're not kind to ourselves. Natural laws are timeless. They are forever. That's what love is. It is timeless. It is forever. There is a bottomless, infinite to it, but we have to pursue it, just like the laws that were given us to pursue our happiness. We have to pursue order in our lives in order to have happiness. There's a subject that I want to share with you when it comes to knowing who you are, to thy own self be true, so we can order our steps and listen to the law of our thinking that is guided by that law that is powerful, that we all tap into, that we can't be without. I coach this subject called the Myers-Briggs type indicator. And some of the subjects in this indicator tells us how we gather our information and how we make our decisions and how we get our energy. So as I think of the people that I've talked to you before about their energy, I want to kind of share just some of the types, so you can think about what your type is. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who I've talked about before, you know, Harriet Tubman is one of my heroes as well, and Abraham Lincoln, who brought about freedom, which is love. If you don't have peace, you don't have freedom. So as we don't know what freedom is or peace to ourselves, this Myers-Briggs type indicator is something that helps you to be more self-aware of who you are. Because I believe that love comes from self-awareness, and then self-assurance, and then self-reliance. Those translate into mind, body, and spirit. And that means we're taking care of our mind, body, and spirit on a daily basis. That's love, law. Well, that's law in order to get to love. So that means you got to know what your type is. So as we know our type, when we look inside ourselves, that's when you get to know who you are. So Isabel Briggs Myers was an American author who co-created with her daughter, Catherine Cook Briggs, this personality inventory that was an indicator based on the theories of Carl Jung or Carl Jung, depending on how you say it. Carl Jung's theory came out in 1971. You know, I kind of like to give dates, so I'm about 11 years old when this is coming out, when we can really figure out why people aren't getting into loving themselves more, is how I've translated it, although they're looking at the behavior and the psychology of an individual. So if you're an E, you're an extrovert, and you get your energy from others and socializing. So being in this COVID-19 situation, for those E's out there, this has been very difficult for not getting to hug and get around people and just charge in. So you've had to reinvent ways to do that. Those that are introverted, this might have been a great time for you, but you got sick of being introverted because everybody was sequestered with you and you had no time by yourself because now all the E's are with the I's. But those two dichotomies is how you get your energy. And when you figure out that's how you get your energy, the universe gives you a way to do it. That's what the thinking is. So now that you've figured out how you get your energy, and I would do an assessment with anyone anytime that wanted to dig deeper. Now you're going to gather information, whether it's sensing or intuitive. If you're sensing, you need touch, taste, smell, you need concrete things. So all of us are sensing. Each one of these economies that I'm saying is each one of us, but we default to one. Just like if you're left-handed or right-handed, some of us default to our right hands if we're right-handed, and some of us default to our left hands. So we default to one of these. So if you're sensing, you default to tasting, touching, smelling. You've got to have that concrete evidence. Intuitives kind of leap into knowing something and a greater idea. Those that are thinking to make their decisions are logical. They need concrete evidence. And then those that are feeling have a sense of worth and value. Now, those are the three areas that June did by himself. And when the mother and daughter team came along, they added what our lifestyle shows up, which was really brilliant. And I love it because now I see why my kids' room was such a mess. We have judging and perceiving, where those that are perceiving, you know, as long as it's in the room, they know where it is. The desk might be a little messy, and if you straighten it up, you've made a withdrawal because they know where that paper is on that desk, where a J probably has a more orderly desk and plans their weekend and their vacations and all of those things. Remember, both are in us, but one we kind of draw to, just like right hand or left hand. When we figure out how we take in our energy, make our decisions, what we need to gather to do that, make that decision from there, our life shows up and we can be in the love and the happy. But that's back to law and order. We want to order our lives by our thinking. So some of the people who, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, would be an INTJ. That means she was an introvert, intuitive thinking, orderly kind of person. Her style fits the law perfectly. And you know, Eleanor Roosevelt is one of my favorite people. Our type is the same. I found out during the sequestering of COVID-19, as much as I show up to the world as an extrovert and getting my energy from other people, I'm actually an I, and I have been showing up in the world as an E because of lifestyle situation or the law and order of life. Working for a company like IBM, I had to be a thinker, or growing up in the military, or even growing up as a kid that was the first African American in an all-white classroom. There were no preconceived laws or no nature out there for us. That group of kids that were presented with that type of situation, if there was not respect for self, care for self, and trust for self, like all these names that I've mentioned time and time again, we would not have survived. That's love. When you love yourself, you respect yourself first, which grows into care, which grows into trust. And that's the level of law that we hand over to that power that is greater than we are. There is nothing in this world that we have ever done without the trust of respect, care, to get to that love. We can use law rightly or wrongly. Every time we make a choice, we are deciding whether we want the best of times or the worst of times as our vision. That's what Charles Dickens says, once upon a time. It was the worst of times. Oh, excuse me, he said the best of times first. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And it was an age of wisdom. That's what law and order does. It gives us the wisdom to live a life that we can love. I think that Ruth Bader Ginsburg lived a life she loves. I think when you do what you love, everything else will come unto you. There's a scripture that tells us love is patient, love is kind, love is not jealous or boastful, it is not arrogant or rude, it does not insist on its own way, it is not irritable or resentful. Love bears all things, believes in all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So that means if we can keep thinking, even in the midst of any tragedy that occurs, we know that love will find us because we carry it inside of us. And that's what we're building every day, not just on Sundays, not just on Wednesday nights, not just when it's quiet around us and we can think clearly. It is ever present. When they say that there's some pandemic out here in the world that is taking souls, there are new souls being born at the same time. There's a movie called The Shack, where after suffering a family tragedy, Max Phillips spirals into a deep depression that causes him to question his innermost belief. Facing a crisis of faith, he receives a mysterious letter urging him to an abandoned shack in the Oregon wilderness. Despite his doubts, Mac journeys to that shack and encounters a trio of strangers led by a woman named Papa. Through this meeting, Mac finds important truths about himself that will transform his understanding from tragedy to change his life forever. Has anybody ever read The Shack? Beautiful story. It reminds us of the Trinity of, we believe that there's mind, body, and soul, and all of that is that Trinity of that power that we believe. And when we think that life doesn't need us anymore because it's taken away, or we think God has done something, God doesn't orchestrate these negative things that happen in our lives. What God orchestrates is a love that restores us, that helps us. And you know that I love Mother Teresa's recipe for peace, but I'm gonna read a little bit from the script because Matt didn't believe that he was really knitted. Does what I do really matter? And as the Trinity would respond in their different roles, absolutely. Mac, you are important, and so is everything you do. Every time you love, Mac, or you forgive, with every act of kindness, the universe changes for the better. If anything matters, then everything matters. So I want us to know that everything matters. And when we apply that golden rule about treat others how we want to be treated, we might be in some misery. Mac was in pain. He forgot that he was loved. So we have to remember to be patient. This too will pass. The pain does not last always, but love does. That's the natural law. Faith makes all things possible. That's love. It helps us to become fearless. That's because we fear less, knowing that when we know the law, that's our thinking, the order of our heart guides us, and the courage to trust leads us in love. And if we do like nature, we can just look at nature all the time. It reminds us, and I'll close with reading from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. If we could be like nature, because it's around us all the time, and it reminds us, should we forget? And we're all here to help remind us to never forget. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Helen Keller. Have you ever seen a flock of geese heading south for the winter, flying along in a V formation? Scientists have learned some amazing things about why they fly that way. By flying in a formation, the whole flock can fly 71% farther than if each bird flew alone. When a goose flaps its wings, it creates an uplift for the goose that follows. As the lead goose gets tired, he will rotate to the back of the V and allow another goose to take the lead position. The geese in the back hop to encourage those in front. Whenever a goose falls out of formation, it immediately feels the resistance of trying to fly alone and quickly gets back into formation. Finally, when one of the geese gets sick or is wounded, it falls out of formation and two geese will follow it down to help protect it. They will stay with it, that injured goose, until it gets better or it dies, and then will join a new formation or create their own until they catch up with the group. Smart birds, those geese. By sharing in each other's draft, taking turns to lead positions, hawking encouragement to each other and staying in formation, and then watching out for the wounded, they accomplish much more than if a bird flew solo. So we know that the love that makes all of us, surrounds us, keeps us, and we are evermore in the law of order of love. And so it is.
And so let's now take some deep breaths and get ready for our meditative portion of our program.
And as we're in the beauty of this melody, we know that the one power we work with is intelligence and joyful and divine. Psalms 23 says to us, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Surrounded by good, I walk this day in peace. The mind and the love of God supports me in every decision I make and in everything I do. It is impossible to escape from the presence of God, so it's impossible to lack for any good thing. All that is God is mine this day. It supports me, it enfolds me, it enfolds you and supports you. Each word I say is for you. So I know the truth in this day. I know the joy in my heart and the hope in my thinking. And I shall never again be blocked in any way. I'm always ever expanding in my joyfulness and my happiness and my love. I am God in action. I walk in the presence of this power and this intelligence, and everything is a blessing to me, around me, and for me, and through me. I cannot fail. For God itself created me and acts through me. My word is the law unto my universe, and I speak words of truth. Sustained at every moment by love, I live in peace, work in joy, and relax in beauty. All is well with my soul, your soul, and our soul. And so it is.
Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, love, love. Love, 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 love. The gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Love, love, love.
Oh, thank you, Jennifer, for your beautiful music. And thank you, Reverend Angela, for your beautiful message about love and how love is the law. So that was very, very powerful. Thank you. Next week, our speaker is going to be our wonderful interim minister, Reverend David Torres. So many of us are looking forward to his message about spiritual bypassing. I'm anxious to hear more, so please come back next week. Our musician is going to be the talented and beautiful Kristen Justice. We always look forward to having her with us as well. Now, I want to invite you to take this time to contribute your financial love and support to the spiritual community that we call home. There is a link in our chat box that will take you to ways to donate. Please know that every gift is important and very much appreciated. The energy of your love carries us forward and helps Unity of Gainesville to make a difference in people's lives. So please mute yourselves before joining me in setting the intention of our gifts. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive. I give in love and receive in abundance. Thank you, God. I am so blessed. And Jennifer, do you have some music as we contribute our gifts?
I do. Here's another song written just for Reverend Angie. I'm going to put my other earphone on. There we go. Well, when life appears unclear, love is the answer. When we're swimming in our fear, love is the answer. Love ourselves and one another, sister, brother, lovers, love's the answer. Oh yeah. When confusion leads to doubt, love is the answer. When it's time to sort things out, love is the answer. Love ourselves and one another, sister, brother, lovers, love's the answer. Oh yeah. Love, love, love's the answer. Love, love, love's the answer. Well, if you don't know how or why, love is the answer. If you give life one more try, love is the answer. Love yourselves and one another, sister, brother, lovers, love's the answer. Oh yeah. Love, love is the answer. Love, love is the answer. Sing it with me. Love, love is the answer.
We'll now bring the service to a close after reciting the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.